Roll Tide, everybody. We are live. Look at us live on a weeknight. That's just like you guys have your supper, sit back, talk a little bit of Alabama, brought to you by Pearl River Resort over there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Day 2 of SEC Media Days, a recap there. Watching Georgia's recruiting class take a couple major hits today. Kirby was on the stand talking about Nick Saban coaching again in football. And in the meantime, he's losing 2 of the biggest recruits that they had, or at least we thought they were going to have. And then roster updates. Bama, couple guys putting on some weight, eating all that peanut butter that A.J. McCarron says they feed him. Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi, the Azaleas, the Oaks, 2 amazing golf courses right there on campus. You don't have to have a membership to play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. It is the Augusta you can play. And as everyone lines up to say Roll Tide, I say it right back at you. And I say thank you for being here. And let's get this nighttime party started. All right, there he is, Clint Lamb. I'm Mick Gillispie. A pleasure to talk to you guys on this Tuesday night. Lots to get into. I saw a pretty good crew of coaches at today's SEC Media Days. I mean, this was like, if you were going, and this was like one of those like Bonnaroo type concert days. You know, you might say, hey, man, I'm going day 2. Did you see the lineup? It's a pretty good lineup. The main attraction wasn't there. But I'll tell you what, they had a lot of side attractions.
Yeah, this was definitely the most interesting day, even though not a whole lot of news came out of it. I was kind of hoping we'd see more fireworks, and there's definitely stuff to talk about. We're going to be previewing tomorrow a little bit with Alabama as well. But you had Hugh Freeze in Auburn, you had Kirby Smart in Georgia, you had Josh Heupel in Tennessee, and you had Steve Sarkisian in Texas. So these are 4 heavy hitters. I thought it was kind of par for the course as far as how guys, things that they said and did. We'll be talking about some of that. But actually, let's go ahead and start with Hugh Freeze in Auburn. Mick, were you surprised that he was seemingly a lot more confident in this Auburn squad than he has been in the past couple of years?
Well, I think he's more confident because these are players that he's recruited and not Brian Harsin. He is also under pressure. He's got to win. Now, I don't think Auburn has the money to fire him, but him and John Cohen's job's on the line. Nobody cares about how good your basketball team is, and I know they like basketball at Auburn. They don't care about your baseball team. When you live in the SEC conference, it's all about football. And Auburn's picked down at the bottom again. They've been down at the bottom. They're starting to kind of be like that tier of schools, of football teams that are just above like Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. But they lost to Vanderbilt. Didn't they lose back-to-back years to Vanderbilt? You look at it and you're like, hey, there's a lot of pressure to get this done. Okay, no, it was the Vanderbilt quarterback they lost to back-to-back years. But we lost to him too, so I guess I'm not saying a whole lot other than they haven't even made bowl games, and they've had Alabama rip their heart out every other year over the last 4-year period. But there are some rumblings down there that they want to that they should win, and I'm sure he's feeling a lot of pressure. But it seemed like he got up there talking about bowl games and college football playoff, and I'm guessing for them that's a good sign.
I think at this point there's no reason not to be confident. And what I mean by that is this whole idea that you're going to get up there for a 3rd year in a row and you're going to say something like, we're still, some time away. We still got some work we need to do. We're trying to become more competitive. We got this problem and that problem. No one cares anymore. So, you either figure it out on the field or you're gone. So there's no reason to quote unquote prepare people for subpar performance on the field. Now, I also think that he is confident in this squad. I think it's probably, it's a really talented Auburn roster, and I think if it comes together correctly, they'll be a problem regardless, but they can be pretty competitive. Will they be competing for a college football playoff spot? I won't go that far, but I do think that they have the ability to cause some problems and win some football games. And, I think 7.5 is their win total, their Vegas win total. And so at this point, I mean, if they go 7-5, I don't even think that's enough. I think 8-4, which kind of maybe 9-3, that would be possible. And I guess that would have them in the conversation for the college football playoff, at least to an extent. But 8-4, 9-3 kind of feels like that spot Auburn needs to be in. And so, I mean, at this point, you might as well be confident, because if you don't get there, then, no one's going to be hearing the excuses anymore. They're probably going to figure out a way to get rid of you. So I just thought that was interesting, because it was different. It's a different vibe from him than we've seen in previous SEC media days. And, he was asked about the golf and all that stuff, and that's so secondary to me. I don't really care about that stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll find out with Auburn. But I do think they're going to be much improved this year. I think they got the right players, but it should make for an interesting Iron Bowl at the end of the year. But that's so far. There's so much that's got to go on before then. We'll talk about that more when it gets closer.
Yeah, another one down there. Maybe another really thrilling win for us. Can you imagine them losing their minds over 6 straight losses to us? And then you got to come back to Tuscaloosa, where they haven't played well ever. I mean,
can you imagine tripling that? And that's what Tennessee went through.
I know. I'd love it.
Like, we're about 6 years. That's crazy. And then it's like, I mean, Tennessee almost went through that 3X, and that's just crazy to think about.
And they did the same thing. Like, they fired coaches. They should have just left the Gus bus rolling down there. He was doing a decent job, but it's never good enough. They want to be Alabama, but they're not. They're the secondary school in the state. I mean, I thought Gus had them in position to contend for championships every 2 or 3 years, and they were a tough team. People didn't like their consistency, at least Auburn fans. But then they hired Brian Harsin, and it's hard to dig out of that situation. It just didn't work, man. Like, you have to be able to come down and recruit, and it doesn't matter where you're from, right? It just matters how you connect with people, and Harsin never did. I feel like now it's like with Freeze, it's like he's always done well, right? He was pretty good at Ole Miss. I mean, he actually beat Bama twice, and then had to lead the next year big, and we came back and got him. And then after that, kind of rolled off on him again. But and then went to Liberty and did well there. And but this conference is just so competitive now. I mean, it's just it always has been, but it's hard to kind of get back into that spot where you can, get some easy wins. I mean, it takes easy wins. I mean, you got to have some of those easy ones, and it just doesn't feel like they're that much different than Vanderbilt or Mississippi State or Arkansas. And then when they play against the big boys, they normally hang in there, but they don't win. So I think that, I mean, let me just say this, Clint. I love it. When they stink, it makes me happy. When I watch them lose, unless it's a bowl game and they're playing the Big Ten, I'm like, hey, this is a great day. Does it make my season like it makes theirs if we lose? No. But it's like, when somebody picks your tab up at happy hour, you're like, you know what? Thank you, man. Like, that's great. Like, high five, give you a little bear hug. Look, I love it when they stink. And what I really was worried about was, I thought, hey, Saban's gone. They cleaned up in state last year. I thought they're going to clean up again in state this year. But they didn't, because their brand stinks.
We'll see on August 1st.
Yeah, right. But their brand stinks. Like, when you're from around here, like, I had a friend's kid from back home tell me that they're going to Auburn, and I'm like, man, that's like, I'm a Coke guy. That's like drinking like RC Cola. Like, people do it, but I've never had one. You know what I'm saying?
There's someone out there that drinks RC Cola that just took extreme offense to what you just said.
Somebody. But most of us don't know. Most of us never even tried it, right? How about Cheerwine? It's like, hey, it's like Cheerwine. Cheerwine, that's like the same, supposedly the same thing as Coke, just tastes flat. Now, Bama's a Coca-Cola brand. You know what I mean? Like, they roll out and it's Coca-Cola. Like, everywhere you go, people are like, hey, that damn Coke's good, man. It's got that crispy flavor. I like the diet. Give me the zero. Give me the classic. And that's how Bama is. But maybe some other person in some other place is like, you know what, man, if I could go somewhere where we could drink cheer wine, their brand is under the radar, and their football program is like right here. Like they have another really shitty year. Sorry, guys. It's going to be fun to watch.
Well, what would you consider to be a shitty year?
Another one of these 6-6, 6-7s, another one of these. We didn't make a bowl game. Another, Diego, if Diego Pavia, did they play them again this year? If he beats them for 3 straight years, God, I would love that. I would love it.
The entire, I know we're
sorry, guys. Sorry, Clint.
No, there's no reason to apologize. Other than you need to apologize for the RC Cola drinkers out there, because I'm sure there are some.
Are you an RC Cola guy?
I've had a couple back in the day.
When's the last time you had one? I like RC Cola Moon Bars. Like, when's the last time you had one?
Oh, it's been 20 years, easy. So I mean, maybe more than that actually.
It's like Auburn's football team. It was like 20 years ago. They were good. Nobody really knows what happened.
Maybe this is correlating more than I thought. But
I like Cam. Give me Cam. Cam back.
Yeah, you're right. They got to do something. And I mean, Georgia is kind of on a different path, clearly. But there are some people that are thinking they might take a step back this year. Other people are keeping them at the top, maybe projecting them to reach the national championship or win the national championship. I thought it was interesting because Kirby Smart today. Now, granted, it wasn't a terrible quote, but I just thought it was interesting. He was asked about the last time that Alabama played in Athens. Kirby Smart was a coordinator for Alabama, so it was 2015, so it was 10 years ago. And how the epicness of last year's game and all that stuff, and what were his thoughts on Alabama being hosted by Georgia this year. And he said it's a great atmosphere, just like we went into last year to play them, a night game on the road. They'll come to our place and play, a tremendous atmosphere. I know a lot of people from Tuscaloosa are coming over to the game. Athens, the city of, loves it. We bring a great environment. It's what college football is all about. This game is about playing great matchups like that. Completely agree. It's what the fan base wants. It's what the nation wants. It's what college football needs. It's what college football in the SEC is about. Georgia and Alabama at home, at our place. And this is the part that's interesting. I wish it could happen more often. Seems like we've played over there 3 or 4 times since they've come to see us and play. So it's a great opportunity, and I look forward to it. So
has it been 3 or 4 times? I remember like twice, right? It was like the next year and then that last year, right?
Yeah. Me being who I am, I'm like, let's actually go get the fact checker. Georgia's last 10 games against Alabama. This has been what it is. It was in Tuscaloosa last year. Atlanta, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Tuscaloosa, Atlanta, Athens, Athens. So out of the last 10 games, 2 of them have been in Tuscaloosa. One of them has been in Indianapolis for the national championship. Let's see. 2 have been in Athens, and the rest have been in Atlanta, which is 70 miles from Athens. So pretty much another home game for Georgia. So 7 of the last 10 have been very convenient locations. And I understand it's been 10 years. It's been a while. But my argument was Alabama played Georgia in Tuscaloosa in 2007. That was Nick Saban's first season. The next year they go to Athens. The blackout game, everybody knows how that turned out. It's funny because when Alabama has gone to Athens, they've done quite well.
Right.
But then Nick Saban went 12 years without playing in Georgia in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
So had he come in 2008, he would have been going into year 13 before he finally got to play Georgia in Tuscaloosa. That was just how it was with the East-West division splits. I don't know why that's shocking to people. And I mean, he got to 3 or 4. Maybe it feels like 3 or 4, but it's been twice. And one of them was in a half-empty stadium because of COVID. So It's not to me, I'd understand it's been 10 years. That is a long time. I understand that. but I just don't think it's worth the conversation that a lot of people have turned it into.
Would you say that it's more impressive that we send the Yellow Jackets, we teach the Bulldogs to behave, or send the Yellow Jackets to a watery grave? Really, the watery grave, though, has been Georgia and Atlanta against Alabama. That's where their watery grave's been. They're little brothers, but we've been beating up on the Dogs.
Maybe
Bama's
that's why he
9-1
feels that
against
way.
these guys, man. Like, in a lot of the games haven't been close, and some of them have, but they've lost every way that you could possibly lose. Let's go to Indiana and play. That's the only place you've beaten Alabama, right?
I mean,
at least in the last 9, I was at most of these games. Like, I was there when Kirby was on our sideline. I was there before Nick Saban got there and watched Georgia and Alabama and Tuscaloosa. We almost beat them. I have a lot of respect for their program, and Bama will be a big underdog again, and we'll see what happens, But it seems like every time we get on the field, I mean, like, you go out there and handle business. I mean, you don't have Brock Bowers this year. You don't have Ladd McConkey. It's you don't have your same quarterback that you had. That guy went to Miami. Georgia has a lot of playmakers, but everybody has a lot of playmakers. Bama's got more experience on offense. They got more playmakers. I mean, we got Ryan Williams. We got Jeremy Bernard. We got a really damn good team. And I like this. The shame of the way that the conference turned when we did the split is that we didn't play these guys that much. We saw them in Atlanta, but when they weren't making it to Atlanta, we never saw them because we played Florida and Missouri and then finally started playing them again. They're awesome games. I mean, like, they're awesome games. Like, they're like Brad Paisley says, they're old Alabama. He's taking the Bama formula and taking it over there. And he's it is like Pepsi. It's not Coke, but it's like Pepsi, even though Coke started in Atlanta. The real Coke's in Tuscaloosa. And they've kind of got their own little formula for that. I honestly, man, and you know this, if it was me and I was the athletic director at Alabama, I would have paid Kirby $20 million a year to come to Tuscaloosa. I would have just ripped him away and paid him whatever he wanted. And it would have been great seeing him leave there, and it would have been awesome seeing him in Tuscaloosa. But with that said, I feel like, in a way, with the NIL era and everything else going on, I always feel like Kirby's going to retire suddenly and just get out of it. Like, he's not going to want to do this anymore, right? Like, the system that he came up in, the Saban way, it's hard to do that now. When you get on someone's ass, they can be like, all right, Clint, I don't like the way you talk to me. I'm going over here. That's the way it is now. So you got to be like, hey, listen, man, you showed up late, and I didn't like your effort out there, and pat you on the back. Hey, let's try better tomorrow. Instead of having that little guy with the megaphone walking behind you screaming at you,
Well, yeah. I'll say this, man. Alabama has not experienced a Kirby Smart led Georgia in Athens. They haven't seen it yet. So it's a new test. Welcome these opportunities. It's a tough test. This will give you a chance to learn about your team, about your program, about the toughness, about the discipline. It's going to be a hostile environment. Georgia fans are going to be hungry because you just said, 9 out of the last 10, a lot of dominance in there. There's been some good games, and there's been some, ass whippings that Alabama has handed Georgia. There's not been a whipping that has gone in Alabama's direction. That 33-18 national title, late pick six to kind of put it over the top. That was a battle for most of that game until
injuries,
right there,
man.
And injuries played a part. Yeah, we won't go down that lane.
Receivers blow your knee, but it's what happened. I mean, the receivers blew their knees out. But I look, let's go ahead and go up there again. I can't wait. I'll tell you what I did like, not to interrupt you, but when he started talking about Greg McElroy's comments about Nick Saban, the way that he acted, it just made me think that Greg made that shit up, because he knows Coach Saban a lot. I know Greg played for him. That's Coach Saban's boy. There was never, you know what, man, I could see that happen. And it's like, man, come on. I got that, like, this kind of, get this out of here. Did you get that vibe too? Like, come on.
What, you're talking about McElroy yesterday?
Yeah, it was saying that Saban was going to come back and coach. Now, I know he said somebody else told him that, but it was almost like I felt like he was just like, man, come on, dude. This is all just to get some clicks and
his
people talking.
his claim was that he had Feinbaum on his radio show yesterday, the Mac and Cube show, and he had heard these things, so he knew that Feinbaum kind of runs around in similar circles, and he wanted to pitch it off of him and say, hey, I heard this from somebody. Just wanted to hear if you were hearing it too. It was his claim after. I haven't actually went and listened to the clip. Probably would be important for me to do that to get the full context, and I'm normally not the type to just take someone's word for it, but it's been a busy couple of days. But at the same time, he claims that he didn't expect it to blow up like that. Feinbaum essentially said no, he doesn't think he's going to be coming back, and Greg apparently agreed with him. And then it turned into this whole thing. We certainly played into that. We had a huge conversation about it yesterday, but it's just, I don't think he would come back to college. I don't think he's going to return to coaching, but if he does, I think more than likely it would be the NFL, which we talked about yesterday. Mm-hmm. So there's just.
But my point wasn't that. My point is that Kirby kind of. I got the vibe from Kirby that it was like, come on, man, like this is all like, oh, the timing of it. Hey, we're going to the SEC media days, and here this guy's not coaching. It just seemed like Kirby was like, come on, man. Like I just got that feeling. That it was
last year,
that's what I'm saying. Look, I don't know. Greg probably did. I'm not saying Greg's lying. I'm just saying that I got the feeling that they're like, come on, dude. Like, I think that, like I said yesterday, I agree with everything you said. Like I could see him coming back and doing the NFL if he didn't have to run around chasing coaches and stuff. But I don't know, man. He's 70-something years old, dude. Like, come on, man.
Well,
it's hard to do. Like I'm how old I am, and it's hard to do my job every day. I mean, it's like 30-some years older.
Well, I mean, I just don't. Obviously, I don't think he's coming back. Kirby doesn't think he's coming back. And it was interesting timing. We can put the tinfoil hats on and get a little conspiratorial about it because. I agree that, that the timing, Nick Saban was such a massive part of SEC media last year. He was actually a part of the broadcast. Everybody was talking about, what's it like without Alabama having Nick Saban? Like those conversations were dominating. It made for an interesting storyline. Think about today. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of storylines. I thought today would be the fireworks, if anything. I did think Kirby gave some great quotes, and something that I've talked about is in this NIL era, the hunger on these rosters, the hunger of individual guys is becoming a problem. And it is because the carrot in front of the horse used to be getting to the NFL. So you saw pure drive and motivation. Now that was a problem the NFL had to deal with when they got there because a lot of those guys would get paid. They weren't super responsible with their money. Some of them weren't, some of them were. But it was like that was NFL problems, and now you're taking NFL problems and you're making them college problems, and I think that's kind of affected the game. We've talked about that, but Kirby was like, comfortable, which I have also mentioned. It is the death of success. Getting complacent. It's like if you have success and you get comfortable because you go to the University of Alabama and you win because of the A on your chest, like. Nick Saban has talked about this. He battled this for close to 20 years in Tuscaloosa. It is a massive obstacle to overcome. Well, now the hunger as far as NIL and stuff, it has become, this drive of I've got to take care of my family. I've got to get to that next level. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to talk back to coach. Like this wasn't everybody, but this was a majority of guys. Now it's like, they get some money in their pocket. In some cases, they're getting cars given to them. They're getting all these benefits. And it's like it's kind of zapping the purity. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be happening, but let's be honest. That is a negative effect of NIL in college football. And Kirby was talking about how they're still seeking out the guys who are hungry and want it. And he mentioned a bunch of Alabama players that he's been around: Dante Hightower, Rolando McClain. He mentioned several. He mentioned several Georgia players, but he was like, those guys, they were hungry. They were about it. And, so that's a difference in college football. The other thing with Georgia that I wanted to talk about was they've had a rough day on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, right.
Tyler Atkinson, the number one linebacker in the country, 5-star recruit, had been, according to a lot of people, a Georgia lean for quite a while. Kind of last second, obviously Nick Abrams, he gets RPM to Georgia, which I thought was interesting because I thought they were getting Atkinson too. And then later on, someone puts in an RPM for Atkinson to Texas, and it's like, okay, that's starting to make sense. But so they get him, and then James Johnson, who is the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, ranked number 42 overall according to the Rivals on 3 rankings. Even though their individual rankings have him as a 5-star and the number 10 player, he flipped his commitment from Georgia to Texas today. So good day for Texas on the recruiting trail, getting 2 5-stars. Rough day for Kirby Smart in Georgia. Him talking about guys who want to be about the money and the NIL. And I thought it was funny that Sarkisian talked about that too, because it's like, let's be honest, brother.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, let's call it what it is. You've got a resource at your disposal, and you guys are utilizing it. And anybody else that had that resource, they'd be utilizing it too. So don't apologize for it, but also don't act like it doesn't exist. This feels very Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. Oh, have you been to College Station? Have you been to the Texas A&M? But guys just want to play here. Give me a break. They want to play there when you're handing them 7-figure money. But at the same time, this is something that everybody's dealing with. These big paychecks, these big NIL deals, they're going to be flowing one direction, and you're going to lose guys as a result. It's a matter of being able to recruit well, evaluate well, get some of those lower rated players, find the diamonds in the rough. But it's also about identifying guys that is not a priority for, because even though I think Texas got 2 really good defensive players today, Isaiah Bond was expected to be a really good offensive player for Texas, but a lot of that was about the money. And Amari Niblack, same thing. So it doesn't always work out.
Hey guys, there it is. Residence Inn by Ocean City. Our friend Keith got you covered there, back to back to back. Coastal Style Hotel of the Year. Our friends from the next round, Jim Dunaway, couldn't believe how big it was. Lance Taylor loved all the good drinking spots. Ryan Brown enjoyed the sunsets. You guys will love it as well. Ocean City, Maryland, Residence Inn by Marriott. Look at that beautiful hotel. It's unbelievable. Right there by the boardwalk, by Secrets, all the great seafood, including crabs, Maryland style, crab soup. You got just so many really awesome sunsets and good times to have there in Maryland, and we appreciate them for being a part of our show.
Hey, hold up. Before you move on, I want you to apologize to Tony.
Yeah, RC Cola is the best. Tony, are you drinking RC Cola?
Hey, you know what? I'm sure I'm a cola drinker. I'm trying to get off of them because they're not great for you. Cover Crimson does not advocate drinking carbonated beverages, but I do partake myself. I very much enjoy them. I'm trying to break that habit, the caffeine. I don't drink coffee, so it's kind of how I get it. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I would very much enjoy an RC Cola if I ever thought to get them. But yeah, you owe Tony an apology.
Sorry, Tony. They remind me of Auburn, but look. Not the actual flavor of the drink, just kind of like the popularity. That's all I'm saying. People might like RC Colas, but most of those people are in their 80s, and that's fine. No,
my granddad was a big fan, so
I know it from my grandparents.
That tracks.
Was Tennessee up today?
They were up today.
That's how popular they are. They don't even have a drink that anybody's talking about because it's like they didn't even exist today. They feel so irrelevant. But I see the headlines like, is Tennessee going to take over the Alabama rivalry? They better not. They better not. They've won
2 of the last
3.
Yeah, that's the one that they're hanging on to. But they got to come to Tuscaloosa. And I mean, when's the last time they won there? It's been a minute. So that would be a nice little. Game. You were at what game?
The last time we lost to them there
in Tuscaloosa. What year was that?
I think it was the 5 overtime game.
I think so too.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
I decided I didn't like Shula anymore. Like I was like watching him just buffoon that game, and I'm going, how do you do? It's 1st and 1. Like you can't get a 1st and 1. Like
let's man.
I'm sorry. I know you guys might like Shula, and it's not personal, but God, he stunk.
See, now you're going to fire up South Carolina fans because he's their offensive coordinator. You're taking shots at everybody. Tennessee was today
on the sideline going, "This guy's a moron. Let's get him out of here." And then
think Lenore Sellers can make anybody look good. He can carry an offense.
I'm not talking about South Carolina. I'm talking about when Alabama was coached.
We're not even allowed to talk about Nick. Like we're people get on to us for looking to the past with Nick Saban. You're trying to go all the way back to Shula.
Yeah, I go way back. Back.
Those were some dark times. They really were.
Trust me, I was there for it. Boy, it's terrible. That's why when people are like, Mick's always worried. Yes, because I remember, okay, I was there and it wasn't fun. Leaving the stadium and we would lose to like Northern Illinois and Central Florida and stuff like that. I was at the La Tech game at Legion Field where they Tim Rattay hit us with that Hail Mary at the end of the game. Knock it down! But we didn't knock it down.
I'm surprised half of our audience hadn't immediately jumped off. Like, I don't need this negativity today.
Please, I love it, but we're way past that. Now that gives us a chance to talk about this year's team and Caden Proctor, who could be our first pick in the draft, and he comes in, looks like he's trying to build up for this thing.
Yeah, we talked about some of the roster updates yesterday. Didn't get to all of them, so I thought, okay, we need to probably cover a couple of more just to make sure we're hitting on all of them. The first one I wanted to talk about was Marshall Pritchett because Mick, he was like in somewhere between like 211 and 215 his senior year, and then he started to gain weight. I want to say he got up to like 220, 225 still during the recruiting process before he signed with Alabama. Because I think when he signed with Alabama, there was like an updated article and they asked him his weight. And I want to say he said something like in the 220, 225 range. But then he was reported in the spring at 235. And now he's listed at 248. So he's gained like, 35 to 37 pounds just since, less than a year as a tight end, 6'5", 248 pounds. That's not massive for an Alabama tight end. Caleb Edwards, the other tight end they signed, he's listed on his Alabama roster debut being a summer enrollee. He was listed at 6'6", 264 pounds. You talk about big, that is big, by far the biggest tight end on the roster. But Marshall Pritchett, this was a guy who was lean. He was making the transition to play a little bit more in line, a little bit more tight end after being kind of a receiver in high school. Seemed to be embracing that pretty well. Now, I still think he's going to be kind of one of those move H options, Josh Cuevas-esque, but being 248 pounds, he's a lot better prepared for the SEC than I ever would have thought. Him being 235 would have been serviceable. It's like that's solid for a freshman. 248. The kid's been working his tail off, and Brian Ellis, the tight ends coach on Twitter, pointed that out and say, hey, you've earned this. I don't remember the exact wording, but essentially you've earned this, and keep at it. So Marshall Pritchett, Mick, someone mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but someone mentioned, hey, I've seen people go through like the freshman 30, but not quite in this way. So it's good that he's putting on some good weight.
Normally that's what they would call the sorority girls. Freshman 30. Did you know that? It was freshman 15.
It was freshman 15. Yeah, I was I don't know who you're talking to bad in freshman 30.
You ain't good at Alabama. At least back in those days. Look, I put on 15 too, so it wasn't just them. All that dorm food. Yeah, I love seeing these guys' weights, and I honestly, my favorite thing is listening to you. I've worked with you long enough to know that when the roster comes out, you're going through it with a fine-tooth comb. You're going to find out who came in big, who came in small. Deontay, you better get more of that peanut butter on your spoon, okay?
Hey,
Hayden, you better run more.
When you can sometimes this stuff means nothing, and a lot of times it's a couple of pounds one direction. Like that's anybody. But Kelby Collins reporting at 285, like that was one of the big things that stood out to me back on the spring roster. And I pointed out, like, being 285, that's a little heavy for the Bandits, right? Or you're getting on the heavier side. So you might see him playing inside a little bit. I know he doesn't probably want to. And the next thing he's playing inside primarily on, in the 8A practice. So you can sometimes take away from this. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I said it yesterday with him. being 275 pounds, I kind of said I thought he was going to be more of an interior guy. I'm back to on the Bandit train. I just think that's too much weight lost. There was a purpose behind it, and it wasn't to leave him inside. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I wanted to talk about both Cam Dewberry and Caden Proctor, because Cam Dewberry, he was 333, I believe, 335 on Texas A&M's roster last year. I thought he was a little bit heavy then. Then he gets to Tuscaloosa and he's weighing 345. And I'm like, I don't know if this was the plan, but probably not. I just think 345 for him and his frame, like he needs to drop some weight. And now he's listed at 332. So he's dropped 13 pounds. That's a lot more in line, because not only did he get to that 335, but if he's a couple of pounds lighter than that, he's moving in the right direction compared to what I saw from him at Texas A&M last year. Then you've got Caden Proctor, which is such an interesting case study, because I thought, I think ideally like 345, like 6'7", 345 for him would be phenomenal. For whatever reason, he's having a very hard time getting there, or the coaching staff doesn't want him there. So it's like, okay, I thought though 350, 355, he was 369 last year. And then in the spring, they reported him and he was listed at 360. So it's okay. He's moving in the right direction. A lot of Bama fans were disappointed it wasn't more, but hey, I mean, that's 10 pounds. Now he's listed at 366 pounds. So he was dealing with that injury. He wasn't able to do a whole lot in the spring. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't think the coaching staff is overly concerned. I think if they were, you would see more of an emphasis on losing weight. But him being 366 pounds, that's pretty big. And he's super athletic for a guy his size. Super athletic. So I don't want to say he's going to be a liability and this is a problem. I just was hoping, and if you could take 15 or so pounds off of him compared to last year in that 355 range, I was really hoping that would kind of take his movement to another level that I think's there. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but I still think he's going to be a hell of a player for Alabama. He is representing Alabama at SEC Media Days tomorrow. So if this was a guy that was struggling with his weight and this wasn't coaching staff, they didn't know or they wanted him to lose and he's not losing, I don't know that they would have brought him to SEC Media Days. So this is probably by design. I do wonder if he'll get asked about it tomorrow, and I'll be curious to see what he ends up responding.
Sometimes we gain weight, sometimes we lose weight, and we got you covered when you need different size clothes. Rowback.com. Our code is Crimson20. Whether you get that stylish Alabama hoodie or you go with the polos, all of that stuff, 20% off, looking good. They got a lot of other great gear too. Golf gear, office gear, classroom gear for you guys that are in school still. Crimson20, each email address gets you 20% off. And you can swing over to Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, the Augusta. You can play right there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Look good on the golf course with your Rowback gear. And that is
you think they got one big enough for Proctor?
Yeah, oh yeah. They got him covered. They got Shank size.
Okay.
They got everybody's size on there. But Dancing Rabbit right there at Pearl River Resort. You got the Azaleas, the Oaks. You don't have to have a membership. Talked about that before. But the sports book, Timeout Sports Lounge right there, and Golden Moon Casino. This time of year, hey, what do you think, Bama? You think they're going to win more than 9 games, 10 games? Go up there and play those bets. Like, bet on some games. Bama's going to be a favorite. Are they going to be able to cover against Florida State? Are they going to lose to the Seminoles? Isn't Gus Malzahn their offensive coordinator now? Is that what I heard? I mean, come on, the Gus bus. We're going to have to deal with that again. And they got a quarterback that thinks they're going to beat us. All of that over at Pearl River. But huge slot selection. The gaming's great. It's legal. It's in Mississippi. It's not far, hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. Great acts and everything else right there. And we appreciate them for being a part of it. So I see you guys have stuck around. And it's a good thing you have, because this gives me a chance to go a little overtime with you again today. First off, Southern Red, thank you. We love Shank. Shank's awesome. Hope Dewberry plays like Chance Warmack. Mike Johnson thinks Chance Warmack's one of the best offensive linemen that Alabama's ever had. That'd be great.
It is crazy, Mick. It's like that's one. A lot of people like to talk about Trent Richardson, and I totally get it. I thought he was going to be an absolute superstar on the NFL level too. Now we've talked about why he failed behind Alabama's offensive line. The vision issues were masked, and they were very much exposed in Cleveland. They were exposed even more with Indianapolis. And you even saw a very embarrassing still photo of a cutback that was available for him when he was with the Raiders that he clearly did not see, and he just ran right into the back of his offensive line. But Chance Warmack is the one to me. Now, granted, there's others. Reuben Foster thought he was going to be an absolute stud as long as he could stay healthy, and that was a massive problem for him. And he ended up having some off the field related issues, but thought he was going to be a superstar. There's so many that we could name. But Chance Warmack, I thought he was going to be a dude in the NFL. And DJ Fluker as well. Now, Fluker ended up having a much longer career. He did some good things, but he kind of was never what a lot of people thought he would be on that level. Those are two guys that just were very shocking to me. But at the same time, on the college level, you don't get much better than Chance Warmack. So if they can get that type of play out of him at left guard, Alabama's definitely winning the Joe Moore Award. I can tell you that right now. The last one that I wanted to talk about, Mick, and I apologize.
No, go ahead. Throw it up.
Jackson Lloyd, because he was way under 300 pounds his senior year. And that was a big, okay, is he going to be kind of Jonah Williams where he shows up sub 300, but maybe he can still get in the mix and help out with the depth? Really want to see that frame with him being 6'7" and just the type of frame that he has. Anywhere in the 320 to 330 range would be solid for him. I could see him finishing anywhere in there. On the spring roster ends up being listed, I think, at 311 pounds, which I was like, that's phenomenal. Just coming out the gate, still a little lean, still needs to add some, 10, 15, 20 pounds max, but he's way closer than he was in the 280, 285 range like he was. Well, on the latest roster update, he was listed at 318, and I think that's phenomenal. I think this guy can help Alabama's tackle depth. Like I said, 320 to 330, only a couple of pounds off the lower end of that. But, one of the big problems in the SEC this year, and Cole Kublet brought this up earlier on the SEC Media Days broadcast, is tackle depth. Mm-hmm. And I think Alabama's got two great ones. Caden Proctor's kind of more of the sure thing. I think he can end up being an elite left tackle in college football. I think Will Conformity is going to take a massive step forward and be one of the better right tackles in college football. But what happens if one of those two guys gets injured? And tackle depth is a massive problem. And Olasolinen, talked about him. We did some good things this spring. You love that. Maybe he ends up being kind of that swing tackle or first guy off the bench, especially if an injury happens early in the year. But Jackson Lloyd, with the way he's progressing and the talent that he has, and for what I saw from him in the spring, wouldn't be shocked at all if he ended up being Alabama's swing tackle this season, then taking over for Caden Proctor after Caden Proctor leaves after 2025. And ends up being a phenomenal left tackle for Alabama for the next couple of years. So great development for him for sure.
Guys, thank you for being here with us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be recapping our day on the stand. And you know that, and I saw it on here, Kyle's like, everybody got a question about Alabama, right? Yeah, because you do, because that's the way it is. Well, tomorrow, everybody's going to hear from Alabama, including us. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all turns out. Maybe we can even get some audio from there as well. We'll try to do all of that. But like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being here. Again, we appreciate Pearl River Resort, residents in Ocean City, and you guys most especially for coming and hanging out with us. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Roll Tide.
Escape to Pearl River Resort.